Ladies and gentlemen, player 2 has entered the game. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Varsity Overland channel, and let me introduce our brand new 2023 Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road Premium. Yes, that's a mouthful, but in today's video I'm going to go through some of the basic features of the 4Runner, of the brand new 4Runner. Although this generation of 4Runner has been around since 1700s, it feels like it's been around forever, but I'm not going to go too in depth because you can find plenty of videos about all the new features and things with this 4Runner. I am going to go through some of the basic features that we'll probably utilize and some interesting things I noticed about this generation of 4Runner. And on top of that, I'm going to go through some of the basic modifications and bigger modifications that we plan to do, because let's be honest, that's why you're all here anyway. So let's get started. So I'm going to do this a little backwards. Most videos like this would first go through some of the features that the vehicle has, you know, right off the lot, and then you would go into modifications that you plan on making. I'm going to do it backwards, and I'm going to say, let's start with modifications that we plan on making. Because you can hop on YouTube and just type in 4Runner and find hundreds and hundreds of videos about what this car is capable of. So instead, I figured, since everybody watching the channel knows that we're going to be modding this thing up and turning it into an Overland vehicle, why don't I begin with what we plan to do with it? And I actually just had this thought. So before anybody asks, no, I did not get rid of my Colorado ZR2. We still have it, still going to keep it. It'll probably still be our primary Overland vehicle for a while, but my wife just purchased this 4Runner and she definitely wants to turn it into a rig a lot like mine. So initial modifications, we're breaking this up into 3 categories. First category is comfort and appearance. Second category is going to be wheels and tires. And the third category is going to be armor and storage. So addressing the first category of appearance and comfort is going to be sort of like, what are the most basic, easiest, fastest changes you can make to a vehicle like this, with an exception to one, and that's the comfort piece. So I guess I'll address that one right off the bat. So believe it or not, the 5th gen 4Runner does not come with an automatic remote car starter. Okay, not just the 5th gen 4Runner, the 2023 TRD Off-Road Premium doesn't even come with it. And I thought, with it being the premium version of the TRD Off-Road, it would absolutely, but it doesn't. Now I know some of you are probably already firing up your keyboard to tell me otherwise and providing all of your list of references and different things that you've seen online as to how I'm wrong about this, but I'm just going to stop you in your tracks because I've done plenty of research. I talked to the people over at Toyota at the dealership, you know, and I even looked into the spec sheet that came with the vehicle. It's not in there, okay? I can do the remote car start feature on the fob key, and the most that I get out of that is a quick blinking of the lights, and then nothing happens. All right. Now I know there's a lot of conflicting evidence about this online. Some people say it doesn't come with it. Some people say that it does come with it and you're just doing it wrong. Some people say that Toyota makes you pay for it. And then there's been interviews with people who work at Toyota that say, nope, that's not a thing. We don't make you pay for it. So I've gone round and round trying to figure this out, but ultimately can't get it to start with the fob. And if we were to sign up with the Toyota app, you got to pay for that anyway. So what we're doing is we're going to take this over to our friends at F&F Specialty Vehicles in Portland, Connecticut. It's like the #1 place for overland modifications in Connecticut or in the southern New England area. If you're nearby, I would definitely recommend checking them out. But we're going to take this vehicle over there tomorrow, actually, to have them install our automatic starter. So that is the comfort aspect of category 1. So with the appearance, this is basically just things that make the truck look a little bit better, and maybe serve like a small functionality in the real world. But right off the bat, what we're doing is we're going to get rid of all this silver chrome style stuff. Okay, so the typical emblem blackout kit that you see many people doing is what we're going to do. So everywhere on the vehicle where you see some sort of chrome or silver, we are going to delete it and go with the black versions all over the place. And I kind of feel like against the magnetic gray metallic of this truck, it's going to look pretty good. Get rid of this, make it black. I even found the inserts online that'll go against these two pieces right here. And other than those emblems, the other thing that is kind of a silvery chrome color is the front valence, and then also the rear valence. So they make those kits as well. In case you haven't noticed, the TRD Pro 4Runner has blacked out valences in the front and the back. So we'll be purchasing those and swapping those out as well. And I say that now, but I might only end up doing the rear, because the front one's probably just going to get replaced by some sort of low profile front bumper anyway. So I'll probably just do the rear. Not that we won't do a rear bumper, but the rear bumper will probably take a lot longer to figure out. So we're blacking out all the chrome, all the silver. Okay. Next on the appearance is the addition of WeatherTech rain guards on the tops of all the windows. I did that with the ZR2, and besides the fact that it adds just a little bit more darkness to the edges of the vehicle's body lines, it also allows you to crack a window when the inside gets humid or something and not have rain or whatever else come into the vehicle. It's especially nice when you're driving down like a dusty trail. You know, you can crack the window just a little bit and all the sand and dirt, dust isn't going to fly inside. And speaking of the windows, something else we're doing for appearance, and this is another appointment that's already been made, we're going to tint the windows. Nothing crazy, nothing too dark. We're just going to do it enough to match the rear windows. Also something I immediately did with the ZR2. So blacking out the badging, tinted windows, WeatherTech rain guards. Final thing for appearance is going to be, hopefully, a matte black decal or matte black wrap on the hood. It's not going to be the whole hood. It's also not going to reach all the way forward and all the way back, not like a racing stripe or anything like that. I think it's just going to be enough to occupy the space 2 to 3 inches in diameter all the way around this hood scoop in the center. It'll be nice for sun glare, and also just add that little extra aesthetic right to the top of the hood to give it a little uniqueness. Okay, so category number 1, comfort, appearance. Moving on to the second one, wheels and tires. Now, if you are someone who is familiar with Toyota and the 4Runner and the TRD off-road, you know that when it comes to buying your brand new vehicle, it's basically hit or miss when it comes to what tires they put on this vehicle. We did not look out. We ended up getting these Bridgestone Dueler HTs, which are definitely not off-road tires, and I am really having a hard time even justifying them as all-terrain tires. And then you just take a look at the wheel. These wheels for the TRD off-road, I don't know. I just kind of feel like they're ugly. You know, my wife Michelle feels the exact same way. It's like the one thing that sticks out every time she looks at the vehicle. She's like, ugh, why? Why do they have to be like all silver and just kind of like they just don't look great. So we've already contacted our dealer, Toyota dealer, and we have an appointment to slap some new shoes on this thing. Within a week or so, we'll have the matte black TRD Pro wheels wrapped in Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax 265/70 R17. And for those of you that have watched the channel for a while might know that the Wrangler Duratrax is the tire that's on my ZR2. Now they came stock on the ZR2, so it's not like I did anything special and added them, but those wheels, those tires have been on the truck for 35,000 miles. They've been from coast to coast in the US, and they have seen a lot of off-road use and have not caused a single problem, have not failed me at all. So I figured, why not go with those? And it turns out 265/70 R17, I believe, is technically qualified as a 32-inch tire. So that would mean that these tires are technically bigger than the ones on my ZR2, since those qualify as a 31. And so the third and final category is going to be the armor and the storage. And I will use storage as my segue to talk about the interior of the vehicle and some of the features that it has. But starting with the armor, I addressed the rear bumper here. Might not happen for a while. But we are going to go with a low profile front bumper, something that can hold a winch. And by the way, I would love for you guys to comment down below and let me know what size winch would you go with for your 4Runner, because I've seen a lot of people that run a 10,000 pound winch. Some people get a little aggressive and go for a 12, but I've also seen a few people that use a 9.5. And in fact, the Ironman 4x4 front bumper only fits their 9.5. And by 9.5, I mean 9.5 thousand pound winch. So what would you use? Because I know if I were to go with a 9.5, I could stick it in there, and in a pinch, let's say the vehicle gets heavier in the future than I expect it to be, depending on the style of recovery I am using the winch for, I could multiply its pulling power if I really needed to. So what would you do? Obviously, there's a price difference between all those as well. Speaking of this front bumper though, you might notice this little situation we got going on here. So this is the Toyota Safety Sense, this little flat piece right here, and this is the thing that tells you how close you're getting to objects and whether you're gonna smash the curb when you're parking your vehicle and all that good stuff. It's what causes all the beeping to happen inside the vehicle, for you Toyota owners who know what I'm talking about. And then we got this, all right, and I believe this is newer for the past 2 or 3 years of 4Runner. This is the front-facing camera, and it used to only be on the TRD Pro. And now they're also throwing it into the TRD Off-Road Premiums. And that's great and all, but you'll notice if I were to put a front bumper right here, a lot of front bumpers come with the little bull bar, and that would kind of get in the way of this whole technology situation up front. So I'm looking at options. I know the CBI off-road front bumper, I believe their bull bar does go high enough to go above all of that stuff. I know that the body armor, which is a very affordable bumper, the body armor front bumper has a removable bull bar. So if I really had to, I could just take that off. But we're also not sure if we're gonna do like a front light bar. I don't have a front light bar on the ZR2. I have amber fog lights from Diode Dynamics. I've never been in a situation where I've thought to myself, ooh, I wish I really had a light bar on the front of my truck right now. We don't do a whole lot of off-road driving at night. There might have been 1 or 2 situations when we drove across the country where we rolled into camp in the dark, but I still never thought to myself, I can't see anything. So if I could get a front bumper that didn't already have the light bar cut out, that'd be nice, because I don't plan on filling it. So if you have any suggestions, comment down below and let me know. But other than the front bumper, what else are we doing for armor? We're probably going to put some rocker guards or rocker steps on here. Nothing plastic. Obviously, they're going to be something that can handle a beating, and hopefully add a little bit of a step to it, just so that we could reach cargo on top. Not because the 4Runner's tall or anything like that. It's actually probably an inch shorter than my truck, so getting into it actually feels easier than the truck. But when we put a roof rack on, it'll be nice if we could access that by stepping on the rocker guards or rocker panels on the sides. So speaking of the roof rack, we are going to go with the roof rack. We're going to remove this roof rack on top, although I do like that it's black right here. I've seen a lot of 4Runners that have them silver. I know it's probably the SR5 that I've seen the most that has silver, but so we'll be taking that off and we'll be adding a roof rack. We don't have a specific roof rack in mind yet. We've been looking at a few different brands, Prinsu, Up Top Overland, all the ones that kind of look similar to one another. I've been looking at 4Runner a little bit as well. I have a Prinsu on my truck, and I've had some mixed experiences with it, but I don't want to give up on them quite yet. The last piece of this category that you could combine the idea, I guess, of cargo and armor is a rear ladder. We want to throw a rear ladder on here, and we know there's several brands that make them. I don't think it really matters which one I go with, as long as it's going to be, strong enough to bear the weight of us stepping up there. We may use it to access a rooftop tent. We may just use it for cargo, for mounting things like Trasharoo, Rotopacks, Max Tracks, whatever we want to put on here. Now on that idea of storage, looking into the bed of the 4Runner here, it is pretty spacious. I'm not going to lie. And putting down the rear seats actually keeps everything nice and flat. And something I love about the TRD Off-Road Premium is that it comes with the all-weather floor mats. So what we're thinking for storage is definitely a drawer system of some kind back here. They can get pretty expensive. Not as expensive as something like the deck drawer system that would go in the bed of a truck, because it's a lot smaller here, but we are looking at a drawer system, something that's not going to take up too much space, just enough to kind of fit some maybe camp essentials, the kitchen stuff, maybe a few items of recovery gear, and still allow plenty of space, plenty of headroom. And then we're also looking at molly panels to go on the inside of these rear windows so that we could strap things to the side, and then an additional molly panel that runs across the top and connects the two of them so that we can utilize some cargo space up here on the ceiling of the vehicle as well. So one item that I would love to use is the gull wing doors for storage. So if you haven't seen, I forget the name of the company, but if you haven't seen these online, you got to Google 4Runner gull wing doors. And it's literally like it sounds. They take the window, rip it out, and the entire thing becomes a gull wing door with a pop lock. Open it up, and you can actually reach into the vehicle from the gull wing doors. So we'll probably do a gull wing on one side, and then an exterior molly panel on the other side, so we can put something else, like maybe a Rotopax on the outside. Because once we throw our rooftop tent on top, there is not going to be a whole lot of exterior cargo space, just because of our rooftop tent being essentially the length of the roof. It's going to go all the way from this rear spoiler forward to the front windshield. So inside the vehicle, up above the rear view mirror, are all the off-road controls. And this is pretty much everything that you would also find in a TRD Pro. So you've got your crawl control, your multi-terrain select, A-track, rear locking diff, which is awesome. And then I believe this is hill descent control. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will. And so, yeah, this is like your upper console that does all the off-road fun features. So we'll definitely be making use of this. I was debating whether or not we were going to go with a winch, just because when you get something that has 1, 2, 3, 4 different off-road controls, and then you also possibly, drive cautiously, do you really need a winch? I've had a lot of people say, yep, you're crazy. So I'll probably get a winch for the vehicle. So I do enjoy the interior of this vehicle. There are a couple things that I wish would be better, although it wasn't that surprising to us since we did drive our 4Runner, our rental 4Runner, through California and Arizona in December. One of the things that I'm still getting used to is the window controls being so high up here, like where you rest your arm. I'm used to a lot of other vehicles kind of having them down a little bit lower. Not a huge deal, just requires some getting used to. There's a lot of plastic in here, and I'm also noticing the size of the dials. A lot of people say, these controls are from a billion years ago. It just doesn't feel as updated as many other off-road vehicles do nowadays. You sit inside of a Bronco, or you sit inside of even like my ZR2. It's just a little bit nicer. Things are a little bit more, I want to say futuristic, but I guess by this point it's really just like up with the times. But we knew that going into it. Not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker or anything like that. What I really like are the seats. I love all the badging. We've got TRD badging on the interior of the vehicle. It's got all the red stitching all over the place. Even has TRD on the shift knob. I don't know why my camera's having such a hard time adjusting to everything in here, but the seats are nice. All the blacked out trim and blacked out panels are really nice. Everything is kind of either this like carbon fiber look or just totally blacked out. So that's a cool little feature to it. What I do notice, thinking back to that plasticky feel, is also like the door handle. The door handle does have the Toyota locking feature, so if I had the keys on me right now, I'd just be able to run my finger over this little sensor and it would lock or unlock the vehicle. But when I go to grab the handle, I do notice it feels hollow. It feels very, I don't want to say the word cheap, but I'm going to say the word cheap. It does feel like it could have a little bit more heft to it. My vehicle is a Chevy. My wife's previous vehicle was a GMC Acadia, and you know that GMC kind of focuses a lot on luxury, and a lot of their interior components and mechanical components feel just really like hardy and strong. But when she and I do go back and forth about some of these things that we're not completely satisfied with, we do remind ourselves that the 4Runner TRD off-road is capable of a lot. So when you go shopping for a vehicle, you always got to have that give and take. There's a few caveats that you have to make, a few concessions that you usually have to make with off-road vehicles, as far as what they're capable of and then what they feel like. And the 4Runner definitely has that trade-off. It's capable of a lot. I love that it has LED lights as well. Standard fog lights and headlights, LED. Not even my ZR2 came with that. So every company has different things that they do to cut some costs and round some corners here and there. And the four or five things that I just mentioned about the interior or the feel of the 4Runner are not deal breakers at all, especially when you consider what this vehicle is capable of. So there you have it, our brand new 2023 4Runner. I just went through our three major categories about what we plan to modify about the vehicle. You might have noticed that I mentioned nothing about suspension, and that's because we don't plan on doing anything with the suspension, not for a while anyway. I've had my ZR2 for 2 years, haven't touched the suspension at all, and the more that you do, the more there is to worry about. You know, as far as altering this might cause something else to fail. It's this big ripple effect, this big cascade of things that move from here to here to here, and eventually something doesn't work out. I'm not saying I'm not changing anything about the ZR2 suspension ever, but we bought the vehicle because of what it is capable of, right? I believe that the suspension on this vehicle is going to do just fine for the time being. So anyway, that's everything that I got about this 4Runner for now. As I said, we do have a couple things lined up for initial modifications. Some things coming in the mail already to black out the emblems and change some of the exterior appearance, changing out some of those front and rear valences, and the new shoes, the wheels and tires should be on there within a week or so. So hopefully I'll have another video of some progress being made on the 4Runner in the very, very near future. But I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate you listening to me ramble on about our new vehicle, and come back for more on the new 4Runner. See you guys next time. Peace, people.